So, today we'll be discussing to you about Article 14. Okay, correct your module. It's Article 14 of the Philippine Constitution, particularly the 1987 Philippine Constitution. This is with X. Okay. So this one specifically highlights education, science and technology, arts, culture, and sports. So let's begin with education. So what has been stated in the 1987 Constitution about some of the responsibilities of the state to protect and to give our citizens the rightful quality in terms of these areas. So, ito na ang makapangyarihang batas kasi nga constitution na siya eh. It's embedded already in the constitution so hindi siya maaaring baguhin. So first one, we have your section 1. The state shall protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels. Hindi lang elementary, hindi lang secondary, hindi lang tertiary, but all level. And these levels or education must be accessible to everybody. So all citizens must be able to access quality education. Hindi para sa mga higher class society, dapat sila ang best, sila lang yung may access sa best quality ng education. Those who are lower class society, they have the poor quality education. No, that is a no-no. Lahat may karapatang makuha at makapag-aral in order for us to have quality education. So the state shall first maintain, establish, and support a complete, adequate, and integrated system of education relevant to the needs of the people. So when we say integrated, uh it means connected. So it is in one barangay dapat may elementary, may secondary, and may college level na siya dapat. So that's one of the reason what makes education integrated. So if you say integrated school, dapat sa isang lugar nandun na nakatayo si elementary, si kindergarten, si high school, and even until college dapat. So, establish and maintain a system of free public education in elementary and high school levels. Dapat walang binabayaran sa elementary and high school level para matuto ka, para makapag-enroll ka. So it means it's free because it's a public education. And if we would recall, the one who introduced free public education in the Philippines was during the American regime. Without limiting the natural rights of parents to rear their children, elementary education is compulsory. Hindi mo pinagbabawalan ang mga magulang na palakihin ang kanilang anak, pero ang elementary education is really compulsory. Dapat lahat nakapag-aral sa elementary. Okay? Kasi nga, how will you be able to move forward if you haven't tried elementary education? It must be compulsory. It must be a must. Because again, it's already free. Establish and maintain system of scholarship grants, student loans for those who cannot afford to pay something for the school, or let's say for baon, for allowances, or if you are studying in private school, the state offers different scholarships, okay, for those who are deserving, both in public and private schools, especially those who are underprivileged, yung mga marginalized, yung may kakayahan, yung may potential, however, because of kahirapan, because they cannot support or provide something for their family, or they don't have budget for education. So that's why they really cannot go to school. So because of these scholarship grants, they will then be given access to education. Encourage non-formal, informal, and indigenous learning system. So, minention dito si non-formal and si formal. Ano nga ba? Remember that we have here formal, non-formal, and informal. Okay. When you say formal, it is the regular school. It is the regular system that we are going through. Okay? Ito yung regular na sistema na fina-follow natin. We enroll in school, we go to school every Monday to Friday, we learn something, we take a test, and we move on to from grade 1 to grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, and so on. That's formal. May klaro siyang curriculum. May klaro siyang calendar na fina-follow. If it is non-formal, it is something that is what they call this one. It is something which is not really time consuming or not really time detailed. Unlike ni formal na kailangan mong pumunta sa school Monday to Friday, si non-formal di mo kailangan pumunta sa school Monday to Friday. Wala siyang specific na pattern na pina-follow. So, here, si non-formal is more convenient for out-of-school youth, yung mga may trabaho, pag umaga. So, uh, this is like a modular approach. Modular in such a way that they finish a certain curriculum based on their own time. Depende sa time nila. So, si non-formal, si ALS, so, doon sila, di sila needed na, di sila really required na pumunta sa school every day because they have another setup. Next, we have here the informal. Si informal, you don't need to go to school. Wala siyang paaralan na really you really need to enroll. Your teachers are also not really teachers, na licensed teachers. Okay? And we can say that learning happens everywhere and that is supported by informal education. Okay, paano 'yan? Anywhere, anytime you can learn something. Like na-discover mo paano tumawid sa patawiran. That is informal education. Because by observing, because of experiences, you learned how to cross the street. You were able to cook something because you were able to watch, you follow your mother taught you how to cook, or you learn from the internet or any cooking show. That is informal education. You did not really go to school to learn something, and it's more on technical skills. Your mother taught you about A, B, C, D, the alphabet when you were young. That is informal education. So we have here indigenous learning systems. Those who are part of the indigenous groups, they have their own language. So they also have, according to the 1987 Philippine Constitution, these students or these people also deserve to learn something. Provide adult citizens, the disabled or out of school youth with training in civics, vocational efficiency, and other skills. So kahit nga di ka nakapagtapos, kahit may kapansanan ka, you are entitled to learn something. You are given the opportunity to learn something according to the 1987 Philippine Constitution. So Section 3, all educational institutions shall include the study of Constitution as part of the curricula. So in order for us to really promote such culture that to develop citizens who are good, with right values, dapat we should teach them the Constitution. Dapat they are aware about their rights, ano yung mga tungkulin nila, ano yung mga karapatan nila, para rin also to develop the sense of patriotism, yung pagmamahal nila sa bansa nila. Nationalism, they're proud to be part of this group or of this citizen. Foster love for humanity, respect for human rights. That's why we have the Rizal, the NSTP, the Polsai, the Constitution, the Araling Panlipunan, the history, sibika at kultura, because again, we wanted to teach them, or we wanted our students, even in the future generations, to still know and be aware about our history. Next, at opinion expressed in writing, so parents and guardians, religion shall be allowed to be taught to their children on wards in public school system, public elementary and high school with regular class hours. Okay, what does it mean? Dapat, kung magtuturo ka ng religion, dapat may pahintulot ito mga mga parents or guardians ni student. So, hindi ka basta-basta makakapagturo ng religion kung walang pahintulot ni parents or guardian ng students. And preferably, it must be with express or it must be expressed through writing. And it must be within regular class hours. So if their regular class hours is from, let's say, 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So dapat within those range lang tinuturo ang religion. Hindi yung pagka 12 p.m. pa, because that's outside already. And the teachers designed here, the teachers of this religion subject must be someone who is approved by the religious authority. That's why if you would recall, if you are part in Catholics, we have here the catechista or mga catechist. They're the ones sent by the church to teach religion when we were in elementary and high school. Next, the state shall recognize the complementary roles of public and private institutions in the educational system and shall exercise reasonable supervision and regulation of all educational institutions. So it is the right of the private and public institutions to really make sure that they are still giving quality service and quality education. That's why we have here the ranking, the what I call this one, the Pakokoa visit, the child visit, the DepEd visit, because they are monitoring the schools. Educational institutions other than established by religious groups and mission groups shall be owned solely by the citizens of the Philippines. So if yung mga paaralan na tinatayo sa Pilipinas, dapat pag-aarian ng mga Pilipino. Okay? Or if it is corporation, at least 60% of the capital is or from owned by the citizens of the Philippines. Hindi foreigner. Okay? And if ever it's not owned by the Philippines, the Congress may require increased Filipino equity. Maaari niyang i-require na dapat Filipino ang mga mangibabaw sa capital, sa owning of the capital of that certain school. Alangan namang magpapalipin ka sa sarili mong bansa. The control and administration of educational institutions shall be vested in the citizens of the Philippines. So pagmamay-ari mo dapat nasa sarili mong bansa ikaw, nasa sarili mong bansa. Dapat ikaw yung nasusunod, hindi yung mga dayuhan. And dapat, there must be no schools na mapatayo para lang exclusively sa mga aliens. Sino yung mga aliens? Si Koke? Hindi. Aliens here are considered to be foreigners. Okay, dapat walang paaralan sa Pilipinas na pinatayo para lang sa kanila or exclusively para sa kanila. No group of aliens shall comprise more than 1/3 of the enrollment of the school. So, we accept international students, but the population of these students must not more than 1/3 of the population of that school. So, we have here, unless they are schools for the diplomats, for the temporary residents of the Philippines, and other provided by the law. All revenues and assets of non-stock, non-profit institution used directly and indirectly for the school should be free from tax. Walang tax na binabayaran. Yung mga budget para sa eskwelahan. And Dapat it will be monitored by the school kung saan ginastos yung yung pera. Proprietary educational institutions, including those cooperatively owned, yung mga corporate owned or business owned, are still entitled to these exemptions, but there are limitations provided by the laws. That's why they are giving private institutions are giving scholarships. Okay, it's a way of also following the law. Subject to conditions prescribed by law, all grants, donations, and contributions used for the educational purposes must be free from tax. Again, basta sa education ang yung budget, wala siyang tax. The state shall take into account regional and sectoral needs and conditions and encourage local planning and development of education programs and policies. Kasi nga, whatever is given by the education must be something that responds to the needs of the society. Alam nga namang, let's say for example, si Puerto College. Let's say Puerto College. Alam nga namang si Puerto College ay mag-o-offer ng uh, course about becoming an astronaut. Kundi naman needed ni Puerto yung pagiging astronaut. If si Puerto is more of farming, so dapat yung i-offer niya is more on agriculture subjects or courses. So that's why there must be a planning between the local and the DepEd or the educational sectors. Academic freedom shall be enjoyed by all institutions in higher learning. So, may karapatan silang uh, mag-set ng policies as to the enrollment, as to who should be enrolled, as to what should be the requirements of the enrollment, what should be the role of the teachers, and so forth. Every citizen has a right to select a profession of course and fair of study. So, nobody can dictate you what course you will take. Nobody can dictate you about nobody can say that you are not qualified to to be part of this unless it's an equal process. Dapat hindi ka na agrabyado. You were not also discriminated. So dapat di ka pinipilit sa kursong gusto mong kunin. The state shall enhance the right of teachers to professional advancement. That is why they are offering free trainings for teachers. And this one, take note of this. Highest budgetary priority shall be given to teaching or to education. Pinakamalaki ang budget ng the Philippines budget should be the highest budget of the Philippine government must be given to education. Even now, even the 2020 proposal of the budget, the biggest or the highest is given to teaching, not teaching, but education. Next, we have your language. As you know, the national language of the Philippines is Filipino. So that is the basis of the existing languages of the Philippines. Next, and the state has the right to sustain and develop Filipino as a medium of communication and as a language of instruction in the educational system. Kaya nga gumagamit tayo ng Filipino, ng wikang Filipino in our educational system because it's one way also of preserving that. And for the purpose of communication and instruction, para you can talk, and also in teaching, the official languages of the Philippines are Filipino and English. So that's why in the 1987 Constitution, there is an English version and there is a Filipino version. And any regional languages or your mother tongue or the MTB-MLE or your native languages are considered auxiliary languages. When we say auxiliary, it is helping language. Tinutulungan nilang mas ma-elaborate yung idea dahil sa because people or students are more comfortable in using the regional language. Spanish and Arabic, as stated in the 1987 Philippine Constitution, shall be promoted on a voluntary and optional basis because these were the influence of colonization. So that's why uh in elementary, if the Catholic have catechism, in the Muslim they have madrasa. So also Spanish, some schools are teaching Spanish. Section 8, this constitution shall promulgate Filipino and English shall be translated into major regional languages, Arabic and Spanish. The Congress shall establish a National Language Commission, the National Language Commission will do some research to preserve the languages of the Philippines. Then we have your science and technology. Section 10. Science and technology are essential for the national development and progress. The state shall give priority to research and development, invention, innovation, and utilization. So again, there must be priority to research. Again, because it is for the betterment of the society. Kailangan yun ng society eh. That's why we have the OST offering for scholarships, the OST looking for more researches because it's for the growth of the country. It is for the living of the people also to make the living of the people easier. And application to the country's productive system and national life. The Congress may provide incentive if you will do some research. There are some incentives, including tax deductions, to encourage private participants to do some applied scientific research. There are also scholarships given. The state shall regulate the transfer and promote adaptation of technology from one sources to the national benefit. It shall encourage the widest participation of private groups, local governments, community-based. So if ever there will be something to be discovered by a private individual, which the state will see na parang maganda to, parang kinakailangan to ng state, they can adopt the technology for the national benefit. Maaari nila yung gamitin para sa kapakanan ng nakakarami. And they have the state has the right to secure exclusive rights of scientists, inventors, and artists to their intellectual property, particularly when beneficial to the people, as much as period may be provided by law. So again, maaaring gamitin ng state ang inventions which they see beneficial for people na nakakatulong sa mga mamamayan. Arts and culture foster preservation and enrichment of the dynamic evolution of the Filipino people. And we have here arts and letters shall enjoy the patronage of the stage and promote popularized nation's historical cultural heritage. That's why we have here the national artist for the arts. The state recognizes people who are good in their field, especially in the arts. All countries' artistic and historic wealth constitute the cultural treasure of the nation and which may regulate to its deposition. Pwedeng kunin ni state. Like, it's a national treasure. Like, if example, si Jose Rizal, may nakitang letter ni Jose Rizal to his mother, old letter ni Jose Rizal to his mother, the state may get it. Because, again, it is something which contributes to the history of the state. Kaya we have national museums. The state shall recognize, respect, and protect the rights of the indigenous and cultural communities to preserve their natures. Dapat di naaagrabyado yung mga tribe ng Philippines. Yung mga manubo, they must be given still respect and recognition. And the state shall ensure equal access to cultural opportunities through education, scholarship grants, etc. And encourage support research and studies of the arts and culture. So again, in order to preserve the culture of the Philippines, people are encouraged to study more about the arts and our culture, and people are encouraged to also preserve our identity. Sports. The state shall promote physical education and encourage sports program. Kaya wag kang magtaka bakit until college may physical education subject ka. Kasi it is stated in the 1987 Philippine Constitution that in order to foster self-discipline, teamwork, and excellence in the development of healthy living among the citizens, physical education is needed. And every institution must have regular sports activities. Just like that's why we have here the division meet, the regional meet, uh, science festival, the intramurals, palarong pambansa, and etc. So, I guess this is for the 1987 Philippine Constitution, Article 14. Education, science and technology, arts, culture and sports, education. Culture and sports.